Now the title alone of this video is gonna make some people just, how dare you? How dare you? But here I am about to do it, so it is what it is. Hey y'all, it's Ashley Bookishrealm and I'm back with another video. As you can see from the title of this video, I'm here to talk a little bit about 5 authors you'll never catch me reading. And so, listen, I hate having to do this, but you know, sometimes you gotta give people instructions before they come and they sit at the table and they partake in the conversation. I do not look at you weird, funny, whatever. If these are some of your favorite authors, if you love them, if you read them, if you plan to continue to read them, this is my own personal thing. I have my own personal reasons. And a lot of them are not necessarily out of the 5, so I don't even say a lot of them. There's just, I just have no interest. Have some of them had some bad author behavior? Yes, of course. I mean, we're humans. We've all had bad behavior. Let's just put it that way. Some of us, not as much as others, but yes. I just don't have any interest in reading them. I've never read anything from them. It's not my intention to read anything from them. There's only one author on this list that I'm kind of on the fence about because I do own one of their books and it is a very hyped up, popular book. And so I've kind of stayed away from it and I've been hearing some interesting things about their recently published book. So that's the only one on this list that is whatever. It's kind of like, maybe not. The rest of them, I just have no interest in reading them, y'all. I just don't. And I'll give my reasonings. And if you read these, people don't feel like you can't be here, you can't talk to me. Like, it's not like that. It's not that type of situation. It's just my personal thing. That's it. Yeah, that's it. That's pretty much that's it. Okay, so we're gonna go ahead and jump into this video. Is not extraordinarily long. The first person that I have on this list is Miss Hoover. Miss Colleen Hoover, who has now sold more books than the Bible itself. Lord, TikTok done made this woman the biggest thing on the planet right now. It is fascinating what social media will do and how much it can boost people's careers. But Colleen Hoover is killing it in these streets, y'all. Even at the library, we cannot keep Colleen Hoover on the shelf. The holds lists for Colleen Hoover are absolutely astronomical. And I don't care. I have no interest in reading Colleen Hoover whatsoever. None of her books, none of the synopses of her books or synopses of her books sound remotely interesting to me. And I just don't want to pick up romance books, or I don't even know if she's technically considered romance or not, because I don't know if her books in HEAs or HFNs. I have no idea. I don't pay close enough attention. I just don't feel like reading so much like issues, deep, draining type of, which is weird for me to say, right? That's extremely weird for me to say because that's all I typically read. But in my romance, I think I look for a little bit of a lighter theme. Not all of them come out that way, but I think I look for that. And then plus, I just keep hearing from people that like I trust in terms of like reviewing that it's really not that good. And I know people are like, Ashley, try out for yourself. It's too many books to read in this world, y'all. I don't want to try for myself. I have no interest. I know Colleen Hoover has had some bad behavior. I couldn't even tell you what it is. I don't care. I just have no interest in reading her books personally. It was like a split second of my life. I was like, well, maybe, because I think Verity was like on KU, or it was like the audio or something was working out where it was available for me to read for free. And I was like, a millisecond was like maybe, and then I was like, Ashley, absolutely not. You know you're not going to enjoy it, so why absolutely waste your time doing it? I know she's taking the world by storm. I know a lot of y'all absolutely love Colleen Hoover, which is perfectly fine. I just don't think she's the author for me. Nothing of hers, like I said before, sounds interesting to me, and so you will never see me reading Colleen Hoover. I just don't ever see it happening. She has a slew of books and none of them sound intriguing to me. So I'm just going to go ahead and, you know, let that train go ahead and choo-choo and keep going down the train tracks. Miss Webster. Miss K. Webster. Definitely have no interest in reading anything by K. Webster after that shenanigans of a show about her Hood River Rat hoodlum series. First of all, Hood Rat River, I don't know what the series is called. I will put it down on the screen below. It made me feel some type of way, okay? This is a completely personal thing for me that I just was mind blown about. Like, I just don't know why certain people I don't know whether they just don't have the collective knowledge, whether they just don't have friends, or whatever the case may be. But I mean, she said she didn't know that it was just named after a place that's out in the Midwest, and that's what she was going off of. But having characters of color associated with the series called Hood Rat, Hoodlums, whatever, I just wanted to know, like, at what point did you think like this was gonna go well, that it was just like, okay, you made a video talking about the series, and I'm just like, so at what point when you were saying these titles, nothing like rang a bell, no chimes went off, no nothing, there was no signal, no nothing, everything sounded fine to you. I already am just, I think maybe I have read one thing possibly by K. Webster, and this would have been years ago. I think because of the Read Me Romance podcast, I think she did a story for that, and I had listened to that one, but I had not picked up anything by her since then, and I just have no interest. I don't even think the story that I read at that point was very good. So this was just kind of like the icing on the cake. You know how you get confirmation about certain things? You're like, yeah, not for me. It isn't for me. That was a situation where I was like, yeah, this is just not for me. She's not the author for me. I know a lot of people in the romance community like K. Webster, but honey, she just not for me, and that is okay. Like, I just have no interest in reading her. I have just no interest in hearing the explanation of why we thought that was an okay name to use. I don't care enough. And so from here on out, you won't catch me reading K. Webster either. The next one that I have on my list is Where the Crawdads Sing by Delilah. That's her name, Delilah. Listen, there is an old, I'm not gonna even get into that. Not gonna even get to that. Because there's an old radio station that was run by this woman called Delilah, and she used to be like, Delilah. Y'all remember that? Anyway, if you remember that, let me know in the comments below. Delilah Owens really came to, I guess, a height of literary acclaim with Where the Crawdads Sing. I didn't care about the book when it came out. I have no interest in reading the book. Like, I just had no interest whatsoever. It just never appealed to me. But then, you know, Delilah apparently is a part of this whole thing of wanting to be questioned for possibly killing somebody or knowing someone who killed someone. I don't even know the full context of the story. This is not why I mean, it certainly does add to the fact where I'm like, you know what? I'm just gonna let you do you. But her book, Where the Crawdads Sing, I think she's written a couple before this one. I don't care enough, y'all. If Delilah was to publish another book, or she doesn't publish another book, like, I just have no interest in reading Where the Crawdads Sing. It just doesn't sound like my cup of tea and what I would be interested in reading. I know it took the literary world by storm, not necessarily on BookTube, but it definitely did outside of BookTube. People were loving Where the Crawdads Sing. You couldn't get a copy at the library, no audio, no ebook, no physical, no nothing, because everybody and their brother wanted to read it. I personally just had no interest in it, and I just have no interest in reading Delilah Owens going forward. So if anybody knows like where that, like if there's an update on what is going on with that. I know at one point people were saying she was being wanted for questioning. Is she still being wanted for questioning, or is that kind of like, has that ship sailed and we're just going to kind of forget about what happened? Because I know that was a long time ago that involved her, I guess her apparent partner at the time. Yeah, We are humans, but my goodness gracious, we're definitely humans. But that's a very thing to be caught up into. So yeah. Okay, so the author that I have on this list that I'm kind of like up in the air about, that is just kind of like this burning question kind of in my head where like I don't know. Ali Hazelwood. So everyone was reading The Love Hypothesis last year. Was it this year? I don't know. Maybe it was last year. Time is a funny thing. I don't remember anything. I know a lot of people were reading The Love Hypothesis. I feel like most people liked it, and then there were those of us who hated it. And so I got it because it was a book of the month pick. And so I still believe I have a copy on my shelf. Yeah, I do have a copy of it on my shelf. However, so Ali Hazelwood has published, I believe, 3 novellas and another book, Love on the Brain, since the publication of The Love Hypothesis. People who loved The Love Hypothesis, I know of a handful of reviewers, did not like Love on the Brain and were very finicky about the novellas because they feel as though Ali Hazelwood is now kind of writing the same exact formula of romance with just changing kind of the character names. And so it feels very formulaic, and there's nothing being like changed up, nothing that is new and fresh. And so that makes me a little hesitant, because part of me feels like, okay, if I read The Love Hypothesis, what is the likelihood of me enjoying everything else that she's written if it's going to be just like that? I also do not do very well with traditionally published romance as it is. It already, to me, this is just to me, this is not to everyone, it already to me at some times, not everyone, because I have read some traditionally published romance that I have enjoyed, it often feels very formulaic, like there are certain guidelines that these authors are having to meet, and it doesn't have the same flexibility and the same lack of parameters that exist in indie romance. And so I already struggle a lot with traditionally published romance. You won't catch me reading a whole lot of it. I do pick it up. So that's already kind of like a hang up. That's my own personal hang up that I've noticed over the past year or so. So there's that. And then hearing so many people say, and reviewers that I trust at that, say that they feel like it's just becoming like a pattern of what we're seeing in our characters and our plot lines and just a couple of change ups. It kind of makes me want to say, like, just forget it. I'll just kind of stay away. It doesn't make any sense for me to even pick her stuff up if I know at the end of the day, I'm not really going to care for it. So I am one of those reviewers that I don't typically pick up things that I know I'm not going to like. I don't really participate in that. However people do, that's them. I just don't. The only time you'll really catch me picking up something where there's a chance that I won't like it is when I'm trying to kind of critically look at time, like the Little House on the Prairie situation. Like, I knew there was a likelihood that I wasn't going to enjoy it because of the controversial content, but I wanted to dissect that controversial content and kind of bring a conversation into the community. But other than that, I am not one to consistently waste time reading stuff that I know that I'm not going to like, because we're only here on this planet for a limited period of time. And why indulge in stuff that I know I'm not going to like when there's stuff out there that I could possibly like? That's like me eating vanilla ice cream all the time, knowing that it's just not my jam, when I have 31 other bubblicious flavors to check out. If you got that reference, I rock with you the long way. If you got that reference, keep in mind, I said I don't typically like vanilla. Why would I stick with that when there's 31 other bubblicious flavors? I know a lot of people are not going to get that, but if you do, you right here, we're right here. So anyway, that puts me really heavily on the fence with Ali Hazelwood. I don't know if I ever will pick her up, and so I've included her on this list. But if there's one person that's on this list that I'm kind of like, I'm very back and forth with, it is definitely Ali Hazelwood. I know that there's been some talk. I don't really follow it, like whatever happens controversy wise on social media. I really don't. So I know that there's been some social media things with Allie Hazelwood and like tropes that she gets, and I don't know. I really, I'm not gonna lie to you, I didn't follow it. That's not why I'm here. It's just the actual body of work that she has created. I'm nervous about kind of diving into that and wasting my time, which is why she is on this list. Now this next one is kind of interesting because I feel like this is an issue of proximity and not necessarily the author themselves. And so that is Amy Kaufman, which I know is a very beloved author in this community. However, Amy Kaufman writes a lot with J. Kristoff. Unfortunately, J. Kristoff is not my jam. I will never pick up a J. Kristoff book. I've never read J. Kristoff. I have no interest in reading him. I think there are a couple things personally from me that I just don't like. And so I'm not going to put my money there. And that's just me. And so it's kind of hard sometimes to separate Amy and Jay because they do so many things together. They write a lot together. And so I struggle with separating Amy from him. And I know that can be problematic for a lot of people, but it's a me thing. I always have in my mind birds of a feather flock together, and so it's not always true. It's not always a thing, but that's just been my personality and my vibe for so long that I struggle greatly to separate the two of them. And so I don't believe I've ever read anything. I will double check right now because I don't believe I've read anything by her. Yeah, see, I thought maybe I had read something by her if it was part of like an anthology, because I forgot that she had contributed to one anthology. I couldn't remember if I had read it or not. And so I was interested in reading it at one time, or reading her at one time. I was interested in reading J. Kristoff at one time, especially starting with the Illuminate files. It just was a unique medium, a form of creating a book, and it just had me completely intrigued. But the more J. Kristoff opened up his mouth, the less I wanted to read him. And then I knew how closely the two of those were tied together. And so if you read either one of them, that's your business. That's fine. I'm not here to like do you read what you want to read, but I just can't seem to separate the two of them, and so it makes it very difficult for me to want to read any of her body of work. And I know that she's done some stuff with Megan Spooner, and so you know that could be a possibility, but like at this point in my life here and now, like right where I'm sitting and filming in front of you right now, it's gonna be a no for me today. It's a no. All right, y'all, so those are 5 authors that you'll never catch me reading. It's life. Like, we all have authors that we are not interested in reading, that we just will never pick up because it's just not our vibe, and that's perfectly fine. Nothing wrong with that. So I thought I would just share 5 of my own personally. In the comments below, let me know authors that you have no interest in reading, or maybe authors that you've read before and you're like, I just don't think that they're for me. Let me know all of that in the comment box below. As always, if you like this video, give it a thumbs up. If you want to see more content from me, click the subscribe button, hit the bell for notification. Looking for ways to follow me on social media or to support the channel, they'll be down in the description box below as well. And I'll be back with another video soon.